I'm the real daughter who was switched at birth. The day the paternity test results came out, my biological mother immediately wanted to take me home, but I laughed boldly and said, since it's already a mistake, let's just leave it as it is. There's no need to switch back. When Helen drove up in her Porsche in a hurry to recognize me as her daughter, I was chopping spare ribs. The sharp meat cleaver glinted coldly. I gripped the handle and raised it slightly at her. She stumbled in fright and almost fell over. Helen used to be my mother's close friend. After suddenly striking it rich, she became incredibly arrogant. Every time she came, she wouldn't buy any meat and would just spout sarcastic remarks. It was so infuriating that it could give someone a heart attack. I gave her an impatient look and said, "Come on, Auntie, time to show off your nouveau riche attitude." Perhaps the word, auntie, was too loud. Because Helen suddenly became overwhelmed with sadness and burst into tears, she mumbled something indistinctly and lunged at me with her arms outstretched. Just as I was hesitating whether to pull her hair or kick the back of her leg, a loud roar came from behind me. Helen, my mother, stood there majestically, carrying half a pig on her shoulder. "Let go of my daughter. If you've got the guts, come at me instead." She threw the half-pig straight at Helen. Helen's howls filled the entire market. Sounding like a human-sized squeaky chicken, after crying for a long time, Helen rolled her eyes and slapped a stack of papers onto the meat counter. It was a paternity test report. My eyebrows twitched, and I immediately had a bad feeling. Before I could say anything, Helen, with tears in her eyes, sobbed and leaned in. "Lily, the nurse switched you and Sarah when you were born. I'm your real mother." She reached out and pulled Sarah, who had been hiding behind her, forward. "Alice, look carefully, this is your real daughter." Everyone's eyes turned to Sarah. A thin layer of sweat broke out on Sarah's forehead. After a long pause, she stammered, "Hi, Aunt Alice, Mom Alice, I think I might be your daughter." The air seemed to freeze. Helen cursed under her breath. "Idiot." My mother examined the paternity test report over and over again. She almost rubbed it to a shine before finally asking in a trembling voice, "Child, are you really my daughter?" Sarah kept her head down, staring at her toes, and nodded reluctantly. Helen let out a cold snort. "We spent hundreds of thousands on her tutoring, and she always comes in last place. Even teaching a dog would get better results than this. If she's this stupid, whose child could she be if not yours?" Her shrill voice was like a thin blade, hurting everyone's ears. She looked at me with a hint of forced flattery. "Fortunately, our family has good genes. Even without tutoring, Lily still ranks first in her grade." Sarah stood there with her head down, as quiet as a mouse. She seemed to have gotten used to such insults and didn't react at all. Insulting Sarah like this in front of so many people, I couldn't help but wonder what kind of life Sarah had been living at home. Feeling a pang of pity, I walked over and took Sarah's hand. Only then did I realize that her palm was covered in cold sweat and had no warmth at all. "Aunt Helen, can you please shut up for a while? My ears are still young and can't take this kind of torture. Even Einstein would go crazy if he had to listen to you." My mother took Sarah's other hand and looked her up and down. Her lips trembled for a long time before she said, "Sarah, all these years, you seem to have been doing okay." As soon as she finished speaking, Helen, who had been quiet for a moment, started ranting again. "Alice, look at how well I've raised your daughter. She's so plump and healthy." As she spoke, she pushed Sarah again. Sarah stood there firmly, not moving an inch. Plump and healthy. Sarah was clearly overweight. From the back, she looked like a small hill. During the last school physical examination, she had a lot of health problems. Her blood pressure was high, and she even had fatty liver. And Helen was actually proud of this. I couldn't help but snort. But Helen didn't seem to notice and continued scolding my mother. "And look at how you treated Lily. She's so skinny." Without waiting for my mother to respond, she jumped over like a grasshopper, her finger almost poking my mother in the forehead. "Were you planning to sell Lily to get a bride price for your son? What nonsense. My brother got married 2 years ago." I stepped in front of my mother and swatted her hand away. "Aunt Helen, raising a child isn't like raising a pig. Why does she have to be so fat? Are you planning to sell her by the pound? Also, have you been reading too many novels? Who said poor families always sell their daughters for bride prices? My parents treat me very well, extremely well, so, please go away and leave us alone. You're not welcome here." Helen didn't expect to be rebuked like this and looked embarrassed. She said sheepishly, "Lily, I'm your real mother. Come to me quickly. I'll take you home. We have a big villa. Don't stay in this shabby little house anymore." I stood by my mother's side, not moving an inch. I just looked up and laughed boldly. The kindness of raising is greater than the bond of birth. Since it's already a mistake, let's just leave it as it is. There's no need to switch back. Helen's mouth dropped open in shock, wide enough to fit half a pig. "How can we not switch back?" she shrieked, then tried to persuade me patiently. "Lily, you're my real daughter. Sarah, this imposter, has been living it up in our house all these years. But you've been stuck here with these poor people, eating coarse food." Just thinking about it gives me a heart attack. Tears streamed down her face, and she seemed genuinely sad. I waved my hand to stop her melodramatic speech. "Aunt Helen, you have as much drama as you have money. Our family may not be rich, but we're definitely not starving. You come here to pick fights all the time, so you must have seen that our business is doing so well that we don't even have time for you." My mother put her arm around my shoulders and said earnestly, "Lily, you've suffered with me all these years. Since your mother has come to pick you up, you should go with her." This made me angry. "Mom, I'm not going. Let anyone who wants to go, go." I looked straight at Helen. "Our family can't compare to yours, but my parents have treated me very well and given me the best they could. If I abandon them now and go with you, what's the difference between me and a snobbish ingrate? Besides, Sarah has lived with you for 17 years. Just because you're not related by blood, does all those years of affection mean nothing? Is raising a daughter worse than raising a dog?" In the end, Helen left crying. She couldn't take me away, but she also refused to take Sarah back. My mother waved her hand grandly and said, "If you don't want her, I'll keep her. It's just one more mouth to feed. We won't let her starve." So, that night, Sarah came home with us. When my father came back from delivering food, he saw her and said, "Hey, why is this little girl so chubby?" Sarah was already sitting at the dining table feeling nervous. When she heard this, the light in her eyes dimmed. My mother immediately stuffed a piece of meat into my father's mouth. "If you can't speak properly, shut up. No one will think you're mute." My father scratched his head and laughed awkwardly. "Sarah, I didn't think before I spoke. Just forget about it." Sarah had been looking down, but when she heard this, she suddenly looked up in a panic. "Dad, you don't have to say that. You're right, I'm too fat, just like a pig." She laughed nonchalantly, as if she really didn't care. My mother quickly got up and moved a plate of crispy shrimp in front of her. "Sarah, don't listen to your dad. Try Mom's specialty dish." Sarah was taken aback for a moment, then picked up her chopsticks and took several shrimps. She praised the dish as she ate. My parents smiled kindly and then filled a bowl with shrimps for me too. "Lily, eat more. You're really too thin." The atmosphere at the table was extremely harmonious, but soon, large patches of red rashes appeared on Sarah's face. My mother was so scared that she rushed to take her to the doctor. Sarah was still timid, but much calmer. She scratched herself a few times and said softly, "Mom, it's okay. It's just an allergic reaction. It'll go away soon. Your cooking is so good. I still want to eat." I grabbed her chopsticks. "Sarah, are you crazy? You know you're allergic and you still ate it. Do you want to die?" How hungry must she have been? Maybe my voice was too harsh, because Sarah visibly flinched. After a long silence, she said in a low voice, "I saw that Mom made it specially. I didn't want to make her sad by not eating. And, my mom, I mean Helen, doesn't allow me to be picky. It just itches a little. It won't kill me." Picky. She called having an allergic reaction being picky. What kind of nonsense was that? I was so angry that I wanted to call and scold someone, but my father stopped me. My mother's eyes filled with tears. She took Sarah's chopsticks and picked out all the shrimps from the bowl. "Sarah, it's my fault. I didn't ask about your allergies. Tell me what else you can't eat, and I'll be more careful when I cook in the future." Sarah stood up abruptly, her shoulders trembling involuntarily. "Dad, Mom, I'm easy to feed. I'll eat anything. Please don't dislike me. Don't send me back." My parents looked confused. I asked softly, "Has Helen been treating you badly?" A look of panic flashed across Sarah's face, and she shook her head vigorously. "No, she treats me well. It's just that I'm so stupid, like a pig." I've lost count of how many times Sarah has called herself a pig. Her eyes were clear, and there was even a faint smile at the corners, as if she didn't care about the insulting label at all. But did she really not care? She's the same age as me, at the age when girls care most about their appearance. Yet she's been insulted over and over again by the people closest to her. That must have been really hard to bear. My heart ached. And I met my mother's tear-filled eyes. Mom, from now on, Sarah is in my care. If anyone dares to bully her, I'll fight them, even if that someone is Helen. The next morning, as soon as Sarah and I stepped out, Helen's sports car was already parked downstairs. Lily, Mom's here to take you to school. She grabbed my arm and started pulling me along without giving me a chance to protest. As she walked, she stuffed a lunchbox into my hand. Look, I bought you a loving breakfast. It's from a 5-star hotel. You've probably never eaten this before. Try it. She talked enthusiastically and smiled brightly, but she didn't even glance at Sarah. I shook off her arm and took Sarah's hand. I want to go with Sarah. Helen rolled her eyes and gave Sarah a disdainful look. Lily, stay away from this idiot. Whatever's wrong with her might be contagious. Sarah stared at her toes and said in a tiny voice, Lily, you go with Aunt Helen. I can go to school by myself. No way. I put my arm around Sarah's shoulders. We're sisters. And we'll stick together for life. When I said the word, sisters, Sarah stiffened visibly. When she looked up again, there were tears in her eyes. Pretending not to notice, I grinned and pinched her chubby cheek. Mom was worried you wouldn't be used to the bus, so she gave me $50 for us to take a taxi. Sarah looked like a cute hamster with her cheeks squished. She blinked her big eyes and said seriously, Sister Lily, I can actually take the bus. We can save the money, Sister Lily. It sounded so formal. Why couldn't she just call me sister? When Helen heard this, she tried to push Sarah away. Idiot, you're from a poor family. Don't drag my precious daughter into your poverty. Lily, come on, let Mom take you to school. Look, it's a Porsche. You've probably never ridden in one before, right? She insulted my sister again. I was so angry that I pushed her away and shielded Sarah behind me. You've never eaten shit, have you? So, are you curious to try it? I've told you countless times, my mom's name is Alice. Can you please leave us alone? You're really annoying. I'm actually jealous of your skin. It's so thick. After this outburst, Helen was speechless. With Sarah looking at me admiringly, we held hands and ran all the way to the bus stop. Sarah is in the same class as me, but she doesn't have good grades, and Helen used her connections to force her way into our class. This has already become an open secret in our class. Because of this, the classmates don't like her. She has always sat in the last row, doesn't talk much usually, and has a very low presence in the class. But now she is my sister. The sense of responsibility as an elder sister and the spirit of a top student are calling me. I am determined to give her a hand. As soon as the bell rang for the end of class, I immediately prepared to talk to her about my assistance plan. But when I turned around, she was gone. If she used this speed in the 800-meter race, there would be no need to worry about failing the physical education test. I smiled bitterly and slowly walked out of the classroom. Just as I reached the corner of the stairs, I saw several girls from another class surrounding Sarah. Fatty, didn't you say you were treating us today? What's the matter? Are you reluctant? That's right, Fatty. You promised to cover our lunches this month. What's going on? Do you want to go back on your word? Sarah was pushed into the corner, looking submissive and stuttering again. Sisters, something happened in my family, and I don't have that much money for now. The leading girl is named Jenny, a well-known delinquent in the school. She opened her mouth wide in a pretend surprise and reached out to pat Sarah's face frivolously. Who doesn't know your family is rich? Just say if you don't want to treat us to a meal. The sisters' slaps are more than enough. She suddenly leaned close to Sarah's ear and shouted with a wicked smile, Damn Fatty. In an instant, I was filled with anger and rushed up to push Jenny away. Are you out of your mind? Is your mouth so stinky because you ate shit? Jenny stumbled, and when she saw it was me, she immediately put on a smiling face. Cut, Lily. I advise you not to meddle in other people's business. We are good sisters with Fatty. We were just joking around. What does it have to do with you, right, Fatty? As she spoke, she reached out to put her arm around Sarah's, and the smile on her face was disgusting. Sarah stood there timidly and actually trembled as if she wanted to nod. I was quick-eyed and quick-handed. I pinched Sarah's chin and forced her to raise her head. Sarah, who are you calling sisters here? Look clearly. I'm your sister, your only sister. I was so angry that I pinched her face again. Why should you give them money? You don't owe them anything. If anyone bullies you, scold them back and slap them back. Don't try to calm things down and think that giving money can avoid trouble. Some people just like to take advantage. Jenny immediately jumped up. Lily, who are you scolding? Look at my memory. I thought you were a human being again. Sorry about that. I smiled brightly, not giving in at all. Some dogs just like to push their luck. Damn it, bitch, do you think you're so great? I'll kill you. Jenny immediately pounced on me like a madwoman. I made a fist and punched her solidly in the chest. She lost her balance, stumbled, and fell to the ground. The next moment, she immediately got up and started fighting with me. The other girls seemed to be trying to break up the fight, but they were actually secretly pinching me. Sarah stood there stunned, at a loss. I was fighting against 4 of them, instantly turning into a brave warrior charging for love, but a charge without backup is like sand. Soon I was pinned to the ground and couldn't move. Bitch, if you don't have the ability, don't stick your neck out for others. Is it worth it for such a coward? Let her go. Sarah suddenly let out a scream. There was still some timidity on her face, but there was no hesitation in her pushing movements. She was already tall and strong. And she used a little strength. Jenny was like a little grasshopper in front of her. I immediately broke free from the control and started to direct Sarah to fight in close quarters. Sarah, just focus on hitting Jenny. Hit her hard until she remembers your name. Of course, I didn't forget to lead by example. Before Sarah could respond, I rushed up, grabbed Jenny's hair, and pulled it hard. I've never been in a fight before, but I've seen my mother slaughter a pig, hold the pig's head down. And with a swing of the knife, a 200 or 300-pound animal will soon be motionless. The principles are probably similar. Sarah was obviously shocked by my bravery and stood there with her mouth open for a long time. If I hadn't shouted so loudly, she might still have been in a daze. Soon we pinned Jenny to the ground. Without saying a word, I straddled Jenny, making her unable to move. Sarah was like my bodyguard, standing in front of me and blocking most of the physical attacks for me. Look clearly, who is she? What's her name? Jenny had probably never been in such a sorry state before. Tears covered her face. She originally wanted to be a hero, but after I slapped her a few times, all her heroic spirit disappeared. After sobbing for a long time, she said in a hoarse voice, Sarah, her name is Sarah, remember, this is the key point. I reached out and patted her face, imitating her and saying, you'd better engrave her name in your brain, I'll spot check you anytime. As expected, we were called to the head teacher's office. Sarah was shaking all over. Sister Lily, will they call our parents? I'm so scared. My mom will kill me. To be honest, this was the first time I had been in a fight in my life, and Sarah, she's as mute as a gourd. You can't get a word out of her even with 3 sticks. She used to endure being bullied silently and never dared to alarm the teacher or parents. Neither of us knew the process, but seeing her so frightened, I felt it was necessary to comfort her. Sarah, don't say my mom, say our mom. Sarah was taken aback for a moment and then asked in a low voice, then will our mom kill me? Don't worry, our mom can only slaughter pigs, not people. While we were whispering to each other, the head teacher, Jack, burst in. Sarah and I stood up straight immediately. Tell me, 2 brave warriors, how did you beat her up like that? Sarah immediately shrank her head. The combination of her burly figure and timid demeanor was strangely harmonious, instantly arousing my protective instincts. I took a step forward and looked at Jack with a remorseful expression. Jack, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I was completely wrong. I shouldn't have fought back. I should have stood up straight and let her beat me to death. When she slapped my left cheek, I should have offered her my right cheek, and then put some safflower oil on her hand. Jack raised his hand and gave me a hard slap on the face. Lily, are you asking for a beating again? I don't want to know that you're crazy. Don't show it so obviously. Okay, stay away from me. I rubbed my forehead and let out an exaggerated moan. Jack ignored me and turned to look at Sarah seriously. I've already investigated carefully. They have been bullying you. As your head teacher, it's my fault that such a thing happened under my nose. I'm really ashamed. Child, I'm sorry. You've been wronged. Sarah didn't react for a moment. Her mouth opened and closed several times, but she couldn't say a word. She just kept nodding and shaking her head, and tears welled up in her eyes. When you encounter campus bullying, never be a coward. The more afraid you are, the more they will take advantage and act recklessly. Jack sat down angrily and glanced at me. Then again, Lily, haven't you eaten? Your blows were so light. Will they learn their lesson? His eyes turned to Sarah. If I had Sarah's build, I'd kick them into the Pacific Ocean. I raised my thumb flatteringly. Jack is mighty, mighty, don't worry, I'm only 17. Before I turn 18, I can beat them up a few more times. Jack was amused by me and poked my forehead hard. The nervous expression on Sarah's face also relaxed a lot. While we were talking, Helen suddenly pushed the door open and started scolding Sarah. You stupid bitch. Your grades are a mess, and now you've learned to fight. Do you want to drive me crazy? As she spoke, she pushed Sarah. Drop out of school, drop out right now. Since you can't learn anything anyway, you might as well not go to school. Go sell pork at the market with your useless mother. Jack patiently explained what had happened to her. Unexpectedly, Helen didn't want to listen at all. She sneered in a shrill voice, a fly doesn't sting a seamless egg, it takes two to tango. If you didn't provoke them, would they bully you? Why don't they bully others? Damn it, how did such a so-called higher being evolve? I've really endured her for a long time. Seeing Sarah cowering like a little quail, I couldn't control my mouth anymore. Aunt Helen, can you stop barking like a dog? What nonsense is, it takes two to tango. How about I slap you and see if it makes a sound? I finally understand. A rabid dog doesn't need a reason to bite people. Lily, how can you talk to me like this? Helen looked pained and stared at me in disbelief. I'm your real mother. Give me a break. I'd rather be reborn than recognize you as my mother. I glared at her hatefully and looked straight behind her. Ms. Alice, you won't abandon me, will you? There was a woman standing behind Helen. She was wearing an apron stained with oil and was panting heavily. Who else could it be but my dear Ms. Alice? My mother quickly walked up to Sarah and me and examined us one by one. It's good that you're not hurt. It's good that you're not hurt, Helen shouted with a sobbing voice. Alice, look, your stupid daughter has led Lily astray. What kind of bewitching soup did you give Lily? Why won't she recognize me no matter what? Didn't you just ask Sarah to find the reason within herself? Why don't you guess why I'm willing to recognize someone else but not you? Helen immediately deflated and stared at me blankly. If my grades were worse than Sarah's, would you still want to recognize me as your daughter? What Helen wants is never just a daughter, she wants an excellent child. If Sarah were good enough, would she still insist on recognizing me? I understand her little thoughts perfectly. Sarah suddenly said in a low voice, that's impossible, seeing that we were all staring at her. She added hastily, Sister Lily, I mean there won't be anyone worse than me, I'm already the bottom line. My mother's eyes immediately turned red, and she shouted at Helen, Flower, Sarah is my daughter. If you dare to scold her again, do you believe I'll slap you to death with half a pig? Flower, haha, Helen's nickname is Flower, not bad, it's quite festive. I laughed loudly and poked Sarah's armpit. Sarah was still a bit scared and held back her laughter, but I could tell she was struggling. Jack stepped in to change the topic at the right time. He casually took out a report card and said calmly, "Two parents, why don't we sit down and talk about the children's grades calmly? My God, how many parents can stay calm when it comes to grades? Jack is really something." Sure enough, Flower, who had just stopped talking, immediately became agitated. "Teacher Jack, we all know the truth, and there's no need for me to hide it. With Sarah's embarrassing grades, how could she possibly get into the honors class? I used money to get her in. I have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in sponsorship fees to the school every year. But now that she's not my biological daughter, why should I still be a fool and waste my money?" She deliberately paused and stared at my mother for a while. "Unless Lily can recognize me as her mother and immediately transfer her household registration to our family." At noon that day, my mother insisted on taking us to have a big meal, but Sarah and I were both preoccupied, facing a table full of delicious food. We had no appetite at all. Sarah's eyes were always fixed on the report card in my mother's bag. She had achieved an unimaginable grade again. She had broken her previous records. My mother was busy picking food for us and didn't mention our grades at all. Sarah was silent for a long time. and finally said in a low voice, "Mom, I did poorly in the exam again. If you're angry, just scold me, you can even hit me." My mother smiled and tapped her nose. "Why would I hit you? You feel bad because you didn't do well in the exam. I feel bad too because my daughter didn't do well. Both of us are in a bad mood. Isn't this a good reason to have a big meal?" Sarah was completely stunned. She probably never expected my mother to say that. My eyes suddenly felt a bit sour. I suddenly remembered a lot of past events, every time the exam results came out before. She would take me to have a big meal. If I did well, it was a reward meal. If I did poorly, it was a consolation meal. After the meal, she would let me analyze my experience and figure out where the problems were. Everyone thought I was naturally intelligent and extremely smart, but in fact, that's not the case at all. I wasn't born excellent. I also had bad moments when I failed the exam and couldn't finish my homework. Many times, I thought she was going to beat me. But she could always adjust her emotions. She would laugh and say, "Hey, little girl, what are you doing? I have been constantly trying to make myself better. It's just because I want to make her proud. She loves me so much and has given me the best she can. How could I bear to let her down?" But originally, she should have been Sarah's mother. Originally, the one who should be happy, carefree, bright, and shining should be Sarah. If we can't maintain the current situation, after the monthly exam next week, Sarah will definitely be transferred to a regular class. But where can our family get so much money? After thinking it over and over again, I smiled and said, "Mom, I want to transfer my household registration away." That night, we held a family meeting. With red eyes, Sarah tried to persuade me, "Sister Lily, I can go to the regular class. It doesn't matter, really, it doesn't matter. You can't go back, you really can't go back, Mom Helen, she is a bit fierce." I reached out to dry her tears. "It's okay, with my wild and energetic temper, it's hard to say who will torture whom. Don't worry, just watch how your sister takes revenge for you." As I talked and laughed, I reached out and pinched Sarah's face. "Your skin is so good. If you were a little thinner, you'd be like a fairy descending to the mortal world. Just one look at you makes me shiver all over, and my saliva could flow all the way to the bay." Then I turned around and kissed my mother. Ms. Alice, be sensible, eat on time, go to bed early and get up early, and don't keep scrolling through short videos. Just as I was about to talk to my father, my mother suddenly slapped the table with great determination. "It's just about spending some money, we'll pay for it." She held Sarah's hand and said in a hoarse voice, "Sarah, you haven't been with us since you were a child, and I always feel that I owe you. If I can make up for you in some way, what's a little money? If the money is spent, we can just earn more." She glanced at me and specifically emphasized, "I'm not reluctant to part with you, mainly, I don't want Flower to get her way." Seeing that my father didn't say anything, she immediately asked roughly, "What's your opinion?" My father smiled and scratched his head. "Needless to say, I will definitely follow my wife's wise leadership." "Are you kidding me? Just the sponsorship fee is over $100,000. There is an exam once a month, and gifts have to be given every time. How many pigs does my mother have to slaughter? How long does she have to sell pork? How many food delivery orders does my father have to take?" I immediately voiced my opposition and hurried to the room to pack my things, ready to run away. My parents held me tightly and refused to let me go. While we were arguing, Sarah suddenly said loudly, "Stop arguing, I want to go to the regular class. I really have wanted to go for a long time." "Sarah, don't worry about the money, Mom will make sure you maintain your previous living standard and won't let you be wronged." Sarah waved her hand, motioning for my mother to stop talking. "Mom, Dad, Sister Lily, you've all seen it. I'm really not smart, but because the Song family is rich. I've always studied in the best schools and been in the best classes since I was a child, but my level is too low. When I'm in class, it's like listening to the Book of Heaven. I can't understand anything and can't keep up with the progress at all. Going to school every day is like going to a grave. Chinese class is like English class, math class is like English class, and English class is still like English class. I can't be late or leave early. I just have to sit there. Sitting for a whole day. All the classmates know that I got in through connections. They look down on me, isolate me, and even bully me together. I can only keep spending money to buy them snacks and milk tea, and then they are willing to take a look at me. I don't even have a single person who can be called a playmate. It was the first time I heard Sarah say so many words. As soon as she finished speaking, she directly threw herself into my mother's arms and burst into tears. I'm not happy at all, not at all, Mom, I'm really too stupid, I will definitely embarrass you in the future. My mother wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and hugged Sarah tightly. What silly words are you saying? Which mother would dislike her own child? Besides, the 10 fingers are not all the same length. How can we expect everyone to be the top scorer in the exam? Mom isn't smart either. Look, I'm living a good life. Aren't I? My husband is capable and considerate. And my children are sensible and filial. Everyone who sees me says I'm a winner in life. You have good fortune yet to come. Sarah nodded silently, and a faint smile gradually appeared on her face. My father suddenly raised his hand. Ms. Alice's speech was very incisive, but there were too few words of praise for me. I patted my father on the shoulder. Mr. David, don't be sad. Ms. Alice probably omitted about 20,000 words here. The room was suddenly filled with laughter. Just as we were having a good time, Helen came wearing shoes as tall as stilts. Alice, when are you going to take Lily to transfer her household registration? Transfer your grandmother's leg. My mother spat in her face. I want both girls. If you keep talking nonsense, do you believe I'll scratch your face until it looks like shredded radish? After the discussion that day, my parents respected Sarah's choice and didn't force her to stay in the honors class. As soon as the monthly exam was over, Sarah packed her school bag and went to the regular class. The few people who were also transferred to the new class were all teary-eyed and dejected. Only she was in high spirits, as happy as if it were the spring festival. Since being transferred to the new class, she has become much more cheerful. With her good mood, her appetite also increased significantly. My mother gritted her teeth and called on the whole family to accompany Sarah to lose weight. She required me to accompany Sarah for a half-hour walk every day. For dinner, we accompanied her to eat vegetable salad. After eating vegetable salad for 3 days, my mother couldn't hold on any longer. Sarah, if you can lose 2 pounds this week, we can have meat. Mom's happiness depends on you. If I don't eat some meat, I won't even have the strength to scold people. Sarah suddenly felt a strong sense of responsibility. She jumped 500 more times when skipping rope that night. While she was sweating profusely from jumping, my mother secretly stuffed a bag into my hand. We looked at each other and smiled. As soon as Sarah finished jumping, I immediately went to cheer her on. Sarah, you did a great job. After practicing for 2 more days, I'll be able to have meat too. Sarah leaned closer to me and laughed. Sister, you forgot to wipe your mouth. There's a smell of chicken popcorn. After controlling her diet and increasing her exercise, Sarah's weight dropped rapidly. Along with her weight, Sarah's grades also dropped. After going to the regular class, she was too busy having a good time. Her grades were extremely poor. Sarah looked at me with a puzzled expression. Sister, I can't figure it out. I'm already like this, and there's actually still room for my grades to drop. Alas, I can't figure it out either. There was no other way but to keep an eye on her every day and help her review her lessons bit by bit, starting from the first year of high school. Sarah, take a look. These are the trigonometric function values of special angles and the trigonometric function formulas. Such basic things should be engraved in your DNA. Do you remember them? She nodded vigorously. I remember them. Okay, what is the expansion of cos A plus B? Sarah wrinkled her face. I remember that it should be engraved in my DNA. Perhaps because my face looked a bit unhappy. Sarah hung her head and said softly, Sister, I'm sorry, I'm too stupid. I raised my hand and pinched her face. Sarah, you're not stupid, you're very smart. It's just that your sister didn't explain it clearly. Come on, let's do it again. This high-pressure training lasted for a month. Soon, another monthly exam came. My face felt as if it had been slapped hard by Sarah's monthly exam results. She got 6 points in both chemistry and biology, and only 3 points in physics. My head was buzzing. My mother stared at that string of numbers that looked like a telephone number for a long time before asking leisurely, what's the full score for these science subjects? Is it 10 points? Lily, you're quite a good teacher. Sarah stood aside with a red face, looking awkward. My mother immediately understood and quickly changed her words. It doesn't matter. When it comes to studying, we can't be hasty. Hey, what should we eat today, Mom? Sarah might really not be, sister. Take out the word might, I'm just not cut out for studying. She suddenly laughed self-deprecatingly. Mom, Helen was right, I'm just like a pig, stupid beyond redemption. After saying that, without waiting for us to speak, she turned around and ran into the bedroom. After a long while, when I couldn't hear her crying anymore, I gently knocked on the door. Sarah, can we have a chat? There was a long silence in the room. Just as I was about to give up, Sarah finally opened the door. Sister, give up, I'm hopeless. I've made up my mind, I don't want to study anymore. I'll go slaughter pigs with Mom tomorrow. I didn't respond to her words. Instead, I pulled her to analyze her grades together. Look, although your science subjects are not good, your Chinese and English are actually not bad. I remember that you won an award in a geography knowledge competition in the first year of high school. Your history and politics seemed to be okay at that time too. Why didn't you choose the liberal arts? Sarah turned her head and refused to look at the report card. I originally chose the liberal arts and had already been assigned to a class. But Mom, Helen called the Dean of Teaching Affairs and forced me to be transferred to the science class. Because she thought that studying liberal arts was not promising. Damn it. Is Helen's brain underdeveloped? Obviously, Sarah's grades in politics, history, and geography were all okay. If she had studied liberal arts, even if she wasn't excellent, she definitely wouldn't be at the bottom of the class every time like now. Why did she force Sarah to change her subject? What on earth does this damn woman think of the child? I could hardly control my mouth again. A teardrop hung at the corner of Sarah's eye, about to fall. She looked up at me steadily. Sister, I really envy you. Every time I hear you talk back to her, I feel so satisfied. Actually, I also hate her a bit. I wanted to escape her control, so I ran away from home. Unfortunately, she found me and brought me back. After a beating, I didn't dare to do it again. She smiled bitterly. After all, I'm too weak, stupid and cowardly. I can't blame others. My heart ached. And I held Sarah's cold hand. Sarah, you've been wronged all these years. I'm sorry, I apologize to you on behalf of Helen. Sarah suddenly reached out and pinched my face. It's not your fault. Why are you apologizing? You're my only sister and the best sister. Just can we stop the tutoring in the future? I must look really stupid when I pretend to understand. I burst out laughing. Then, how about we review politics, history, and geography? I told Jack about Sarah's plan to change her subject. Jack's eyes widened in surprise. Lily, are you sure you're not making fun of me? There are only 8 months left until the college entrance examination, and you're telling me that Sarah wants to change her subject. It would be more like it if she were transferred to a hospital. Life is not just about the college entrance examination. Can't you just let that child be? I spread out several test papers that Sarah had done one by one. Jack, these are the test papers she did last night, without any review at all. She got more than 90 points in total for politics, history, and geography. Her grades in physics, chemistry, and biology are so bad. Could her grades in liberal arts be worse than those in science? Jack took the test papers and examined them carefully. Getting more than 90 points won't get her into college either. What's the point of all this fuss? There is a point. I looked into Jack's eyes seriously. Whether she goes to college or not is not important at all. We don't care about that. I just want Sarah to know that she's not a fool. She's just had her wings broken by others. In the end, Jack was convinced by me and rushed to the academic affairs office to talk to someone. When Sarah learned that she could change her subject, she let out an excited scream and hugged me, showering me with kisses. Sister, from now on, I'll worship you like a bodhisattva and offer you 3 sticks of incense every day. Well, that's really not necessary. It's kind of creepy. But Sarah was really overjoyed. She dug out her old textbooks that very night and started reviewing. My mother urged her to go to bed several times, but she refused and insisted on finishing a set of test questions. Looking at her energetic appearance, I felt both sour and sweet in my heart. She looks really beautiful when she smiles, and she shines brightly. How could Helen have the heart to always belittle and torture such a sweet and kind child? But we rejoiced too soon. As soon as Jack found someone to help us with the application, Helen stormed in angrily. Alice, Sarah's household registration is still with me, and she's still my daughter. You've already alienated me and Lily. What? Are you going to ruin Sarah now too? Sarah can only study science subjects. In the future, I can find someone to arrange for her to work in a hospital. I took the lead and stepped forward to confront her, arrange for her to work in a hospital, so that everyone will know she got in through connections and continue to be ostracized. After realizing that I wouldn't recognize her as my mother, Helen's attitude towards me turned hostile. She gave me a fierce glare. Over the years, I've spent a lot of money sending her to the best schools and classes. I hired the best tutors for her. How much money have I spent on her? Aren't I good enough to her? Would I harm her? I glared back at her just as fiercely, not backing down in the slightest. Yes, you've spent a lot of money on her, but have you ever asked for her opinion? Does she want to study science? Can she keep up with the pace of the honors class? How's she doing at school? Does she have any friends? Have you ever bothered to find out about these things? Over the years, she's been bullied and harassed. Do you know how she's endured all that? Helen raised her eyebrows. That's because she's a coward. A fly doesn't sting a seamless egg. It takes two to slap. My mother slapped Helen across the face. The 5 chubby fingers left a clear mark. Was that loud enough? If not, I'll give you another one for free. Caught off guard, Helen covered her face and froze in shock. Sarah and I quickly stepped forward to shield my mother. Only then did Helen burst into tears. My life is so miserable. The daughter I raised for 17 years turned out to be an ingrate. Ganging up with outsiders to bully me. Why is my life so miserable? She really brought out all her skills of swearing from her younger days. She wailed and moaned like she was performing an opera. It was all an act, with no real emotion. Higher beings can't communicate with poultry. I really couldn't understand Helen's thoughts. As more and more people gathered to watch, my mother pulled us away from the scene quickly. After all, we still cared about our reputation and couldn't stand the humiliation. Due to Helen's obstruction, Sarah's attempt to change her subject failed, but Jack secretly arranged for Sarah to audit classes in the liberal arts class. She successfully participated in several mock exams using the names of absent students. Her grades still weren't excellent, but they were much better than when she was studying science. Finally, we saw her scores in the 3 liberal arts subjects exceed 2 digits. With Jack's strong support, Sarah successfully chose the liberal arts when registering for the college entrance examination. All of this was kept from Helen. By the time she found out, it was already a done deal. She was so angry that she jumped 3 feet high in the market and even snapped off one of her shoe heels. However, life isn't like a fantasy novel, despite Sarah's great efforts. Her college entrance examination score only reached the junior college admission line. On the day the results were announced, Helen came on time to humiliate us. I really wanted to swear. Justice may be late, but Helen's humiliation is never absent. I told you long ago that studying liberal arts is useless. She couldn't get into a good school, but you still had to make a fuss. Humph, I can see it now, Alice. You're just jealous that I'm richer and prettier than you. You deliberately wanted to ruin Sarah. I couldn't help but retort. My mom is also jealous that you're incredibly stupid. Didn't you notice? Sarah, who had been silent all this time, suddenly spoke up. I didn't do well in the exam, but I'm not sad at all. On the contrary, I'm happy because I realized that I'm not the idiot you said I was. I only studied for 8 months, and I still managed to reach the junior college admission line. Helen rolled her eyes. What's the use of reaching the junior college admission line? In the end, you'll still have to rely on me to arrange things for you. With your abilities, you might as well just wait to drink cold water. Sarah smiled with relief. I used to think you were doing what was best for me, so even though you were overbearing and had a strong desire for control, I endured it, but now I realize that you were just trying to prove that you were right. You just like to control everything about me and enjoy the feeling of having me firmly in your grasp, but at the same time, you think I'm too timid and weak to bring you glory. After hitting a wall with my sister, you finally remembered the advantages of a coward like me. But have you ever thought about why I listened to you so obediently? After a long pause, she choked back her tears and said, because you're my mom. You were the person I trusted the most in the world. My mother and I stepped forward and held her arm, and Sarah hugged us tightly in return. But, not anymore, never again. Sarah's voice was calm, neither too fast nor too slow, neither too loud nor too soft, but incredibly firm and earnest. Helen's face turned pale instantly, and she stood there in a daze for a long time without reacting. No, Sarah, listen to me explain. Sarah didn't even look at her. Mom, I want to repeat my senior year. Is that okay? Sarah's decision surprised my parents greatly. No one expected that the girl who used to feel like going to school was like going to a grave would suddenly become obsessed with studying and unable to extricate herself. They immediately started making inquiries and soon finalized a private school with a good reputation. The next day, Sarah eagerly moved into the school dormitory with her bedding in advance. This school was a boarding school. Students were given their phones once a week and had a day off once a month. Despite the tough living conditions, Sarah embraced it with joy. The following summer, she received good news. She reached the undergraduate admission line as she had hoped. This time, no one made the choice for her. According to her own wishes, she chose the history department that she liked. When my mother took us out for a big meal, we happened to run into Helen. She opened her mouth, wanting to greet us. Sarah's call of Aunt Han made her freeze on the spot. In the past, no matter how much Helen humiliated her, Sarah would respectfully call her Mom Helen, but this time, she didn't. None of us said anything more. We continued chatting and eating happily. We didn't even want to spare her an extra glance. It wasn't necessary anymore. There was no need to waste time on someone like her. Living a wonderful life is the best form of revenge. After the meal that day, we walked home together. My shoes didn't fit well, and I got blisters on my heels, without saying a word. Sarah carried me on her back. She had lost a lot of weight. Now she was sunny and confident, completely different from the girl who was once called an idiot and fatty. We sat on a bench at the street corner. The neon lights flashed, and the stars twinkled. The world was incredibly quiet. Sarah suddenly leaned close to my ear and whispered softly, "Sister, thank you. It's so nice to have met you." I smiled and hugged her. "Me too. It's so nice to have met you." After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.